So
Okay.
very good morning to all. I am Namita, your host for today. So today we are on the behalf of Eisenbridge and Discuss Agile community. I would like to welcome you all for this webinar. So the topic of today's webinar is raising the bar with learning roadmap for business agility. So here with us, Mr. Rakesh Singh ji, who is going to facilitate this webinar, and who is himself certified ICP Business Agility Foundation faculty and SAFE 5.0 program consultant. So, Mr. Rakesh Singh, can we start the session? So, over to you.
Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. I have to get used to talking to audience I can't see. And if you have any difficulty, any problem, let me know on the chat. So let me get into my screen. Okay, so I have my PowerPoint come up here. So I have here slides. The topic is raising the bar with learning roadmap for business agility. And thanks for Namita to introduce me and Eisenbridge to give me this opportunity. And so I'm working with Eisenbridge on some of the programs, and ICP Business Agility Foundation is a starting point. And so there are interesting aspect of business agility. It's a new coming up area. And let me get back to a little introduction about myself. Yeah, so I'm Rakesh Singh and founder of Circular Logic, something that I'm driving from last 1 year. And you can look at me, my LinkedIn account for details, and these are my email address and phone. So what do I really aspire to do? So my chosen mission is to enable enterprises to embrace business agility through building competencies, assessing organizational maturity, and developing business simulation model. And the reason is that I find that we need a framework which requires a complete coverage to all the functions of an enterprise. And this is where I find the frameworks which are coming up nowadays are very competitive and appropriate. And my personal, I have been with Siemens for 30 years. So building coaching competencies and building competency in general, assessing organizational in various areas, and developing business simulation model from a performance point of view. Ultimately, you have to deliver value. So I intend to come up with topics in webinar and training programs, some of these in this area in future. So what is relevant today is certified instructor for Business Agility Foundation and also SAFE 5 program consultant. Okay, so before I go, let me just get a feel of the people who have joined. Let me just get a feedback. How do you feel about the current environment, which is quite challenging, and in fact, it could be quite stressful for some of people. So let me just get a feel of the audience we have through a questions. So I'll request Namita to put up a question for everybody, and let's see what's your response.
Sure. So launching the poll. People can vote.
So question is, how do you think organizations are going to respond to emerging economic challenges? So what is your gut feeling, how people are going to respond?
I'm sharing the results now.
Okay, so I think it looks, there's a 33% on relentless innovation. Yeah, there are some people that are having apprehension of new hiring and salary cut. yeah, this is most likely to happen, but I'm quite happy with 1/3 of you putting your faith on relentless innovation. And at the end of the day, you will be driving it in your organization. So let's start from here, okay? Yeah. So I think my basic focus was that, yeah, this is the time where, despite many difficulties, hopefully most of the organization and leadership will choose the option of innovation. And I put up this slide from Business Agility Institute, which has been working in the area of defining a framework. They do quite a few research with the industry, and I'm part of 2 research projects that they are doing. And if you see this framework, what I want to bring up for your attention is there's an item called structural agility. So you need organizations with built-in structural agility that they can adapt themselves to a situation. You can see today, looking at the pandemic challenges, there are different requirements, urgent requirements, and companies are responding to those requirements. But it requires a lot of change that they have to do at their shop floor, their partners, their vendors. It's quite a thing that you have to do. The second part is a growth mindset. We are coming into a new world, and people who are used to growth mindset may find it easier to deal with. Third most important aspect, which I would like to emphasize, is craft excellence. So anything that you do, you have a mastery in that area, and unless until you have a mastery, you may not be able to really bring up the quality and motivation that is required for excellence. So these are 3 things that I pick up. All items are important, but these are 3 areas where I want to focus on. This is a slide which I picked up from Scaled Agile Institute. So not very far back, they have upgraded to 5.0, and they have introduced business agility. And they've introduced 7 competencies, and everything is built around the 7 competencies. And so the focus is, for me today, is 2 of them. One is organization agility, other one is a continuous learning culture. So I'm sure that you must, there are many trainings and many exposures that you might have, but today I'll focus on these 2 aspects, which is important for the topic that I've chosen. So, just 1 minute, I'm not able to see my slides. 1 minute. So, crisis gives an opportunity for, crisis brings in an opportunity. And so I'm sure the crisis that we are going through and the challenges that we are going through, it will come up with certain new opportunities. And the question will be how exactly the organization will address to those. So I picked up one from J.P. Cotter in his book called Accelerate. And this is where he has put what is required to really address and which kind of organization will be able to catch and benefit and adapt to the new situation. So this is something that is will be very crucial, and you will be playing a role. Either you'll be part of a guiding coalition, or you're part of an initiative, or urgency team, or a senior leadership team. So in one of the areas that you will be playing a role. And the question is that, are you ready to play that role? So let me just prompt you with another question. Namita, if you can poll that question.
Sure.
So you have to go to number 2. This is number 1.
By mistake. Yeah. Yes.
So if you were part of, in the previous question, 33% said a relentless innovation is something that organization would choose. So if you are part of that team, which initiative that you will personally be involved with, or you're comfortable with, or you can contribute to, which initiative? Is it about products and services? Is it about some automation of some operation, or change in business model, or developing new talent, not just to hire, but to develop new talent? Where exactly you will be contributed? So would like to have your feedback on that.
I guess voting is over now, so we can end the poll and share the result.
Okay. Okay, so there is a 1/3 on automation and 1/3 on business model. Okay, that looks to be quite interesting. And okay, so that gives me an idea what kind of participants I have today. Great, so we close this. So I talked about big opportunities and how exactly organizations will handle it. And this is a situation. Normally, most of the organization, at least they have a history for 5 or 10 years, they kind of work in a hierarchical structure. It's more of an emotional power, and it's comfort feeling that this structure provides. And however, this will kind of hinder the speed. So if you want to achieve something, there is stability, but at the cost of speed. And that's where we have the new models, and where the startup companies and even established companies, it is a crisis project. They create an organization which is very informal. And this informal network organization is something either you do it under pressure, or it is something that also can be done in a very organized way. And so there are many concepts like Accelerate is one book which talks about certain steps that can be taken to build up a network organization and how to drive network organization. So we are talking about a network organization which is now going to contribute a lot. You will have new partners, you will have new regulations coming from government, new funding models. So everything is going to really change. And what will really help you is how really you can work in a network organization. It's nice to be in it, but it has its challenges, and that's what I want to deal with today. So whenever you have a crisis situation in an organization, and a task force, so-called task force, has to be formed, you look for people who are inspired, motivated, skilled, developing nature, no fear of failure, learning, caring, and risk-taking. And even if you take the situation that exists today, people who are on the forefront of fighting this epidemic, a pandemic, they have this kind of characteristics. So a lot more of these will be required in coming days in most of the walks of life, and that's where we need to prepare for. Cross-functional roles, so people who are an expert in certain area. So there's an established domain expert, so either technology or industry, and then you have a knowledge of diverse field. It could be functional, it is operational, you have been R&D, and you have been in different functional area. So you already have this cross-functional, but what you need to also evaluate, where do you stand on leadership skills? Because as a leader, you will be under challenge. There is So when the situation emerge, people will have different kind of challenges. I remember a number of people were not really comfortable with the idea of work from home, but today it's a rule. So a lot of leadership thing will be coming up, challenges will be coming up, and one has to really look at the difficulties that the workforce is having and respond to that. An effective collaborator, you will see that Zoom is picking up, and we want to do everything on the collaboration platform or video conferencing platform. Things that we never thought of. In fact, I attended a complete conference on virtual video conferencing. You need to be more tech-savvy. Technology brings in speed. And the last one is the coaching and mentoring skill. So these are things where if you need to be in a cross-functional, you need to do a lot more. So coaching and mentoring, one area where I will be also focusing today. So before getting into this, so let me put a poll number 3. Yeah.
Sure.
So Namita, can you help me?
Yes, sure. Yes, it's there. So you can vote now.
Yeah. So which area that you think you will need to develop yourself? It's something that you need to look for strengthening your competency in which area. So if you can select some of them.
I guess we can share the results now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Agile coaching, business agility, top 3. I'm seeing a blank in social skills. Okay. Technology, lean agile. Okay. So business agility and agile coaching. So that is good for me because I have some more material on that. Okay, thank you for that response. So, so when you want to develop, I think there's so many programs and there's so many things that are there today that it's quite likely that one can get confused and also overawed. And these require investment in time, investment in money, whether it's personal money or it's an organizational money. So we have to really invest everything in wisely. So just some examples here. So normally one chooses 3 different areas where you want to build your competency. One is in the process area, which is lean agile, business agility, Kanban, design thinking. There are quite a few more in that area. Technology is a highly vast area. I've just picked up as an example. And people area. This is something where I feel, in my experience for a long time, this area is coming up. Organizations at their policy level, at their management level, and also at individual level are putting in a lot of effort. And one need to really appreciate from a behavioral point of view, we are more empathetic and we take more ownership as an individual. If you're leading a team, we follow the concept of servant leader and collaboration. Remote working has its own challenges where you're working across cities, you're working across time zones, different cultures, and that makes it a little bit more complicated. So looking at the people side competency, there is, you may be familiar with IC Agile, and they have come up with a certain new competency development area. At the center here is the Business Agility Foundation, and agility in leadership operating with agility and enterprise coaching for agility. So I looked at the enterprise coaching agility, and this looked to be very interesting because in my role as a part of leadership for more than 25 years, I found that there were certain programs were successful, and certain programs, they looked promising, but they really did not succeed. And so over the years, we picked up what are those crucial factors which actually lead you a transformation, or you want to implement something at an organization level to be successful, and something that people accept it, and it gives a result, and people remember it was a successful project. So I find that this knowledge is very interesting. And if you look at the core of it, it talks about two different elements. So when you're changing an organization, there is an organizational change in terms of process, business model, technology, culture, leadership, capability, etc. So these are something that we have been handling it. But what we normally take for granted and don't spend so much of time and energy is to bring in a change and understand the internal process within humans, the people, and get everybody on board. So the human process and how to get people on board with different challenges that they have in their personal life, with the concerns that they have. It may be professional, it may be emotional, there are various dimensions. So this is my observation that any of the initiative were very, I would say, in a very unknowing way. We had people and who had these attributes, who had a good network and good connection, and they really helped in a project or initiative coming to success. Something this was very, I would say, people would come from their basic instincts. Now it is available as a part of a formal program, and that's why I find it nice and interesting. So when you look at a human process, if you look a little deeper into that, and I really don't want to bring in psychology here, but something which I found it very interesting, that why exactly we behave in a certain way, and why we find some people are very they handle situation naturally, and some people find it very difficult. So the whole thing is that our brain or thinking process has three different elements. Limbic system. This is something which is pre-programmed. So it comes into action when you come with a surprise. So if you come to a situation where you have to react immediately, it's a matter of your life and a matter of a crisis. You go by a gut feeling, and a normal reaction is either you're fearful, or you freeze, or you run away. So this limbic system is something that's built over the years, and the psychologists say that it starts building up even when a newborn is in the womb of the mother. So it starts from there, and it is something which is pre-programmed. The other part is a prefrontal cortex, technical term, which is the emotional part. It's an emotional part of the human behavior, which comes from our social life and how and the family life that we, and there's a lot of non-verbal communication that takes place, and the whole of coaching that is being done, and as a professional, there's a lot of emphasis on the emotional aspect of the human behavior. And the last part, which is frontal cortex, is part of brain, contributes to rational thinking. So a typical, I am an engineer, so I can speak as an engineer. Everything we want to analyze, everything we want to see evidence, everything we want to look into facts. So this is the rational part. But what we need to really emphasize and is on the emotional aspect of it, because that plays a lot of role in your success in leading a team, and also your success in transforming an organization. So there is a method which is very popular. It's a coaching an individual. It could be a personal problem. It could be a behavioral problem, or any problem. So it's a GROW model. And in my previous organization, this was promoted very actively, and every manager was being trained. Leaders need to engage with employees, understand their need, concerns, and development needs. So this GROW model, it's a very formal model. There's a International Coaching Federation, which has got associate coaching certification. And so what this model has is, you go through a process. You sit up with an individual. You sit across with an individual. Identify what problem the individual want to discuss, and discuss the reality part of it. What are the constraints? Why he or she is thinking there's a problem, or what is something that is causing this problem, and what are the options, and what are the actions. Now, the whole process why I'm mentioning is the coach role is not to solve a problem. Which I found it very interesting, that you're not somebody who's going to solve everybody's problem, but what you look for is how you make the person's awareness level. You raise the awareness level of the person, where you help the person to focus on what's bothering them, and it could be emotional issue, it could be some kind of a misunderstanding, or so you help a person through emotional and discussion to solve their own problem, and provide some kind of a support in terms of sometimes you provide in helping hand, but by and large you help a person to solve their problems themselves, and this works very well. And so yeah, when you're doing enterprise coaching, you might come into a situation where you deal with the people. The normal reaction, if somebody is not really contributing or causing a problem, you try to get them out of the action. And at some point of time, that would become a very serious problem, because they can also cause harm. So you engage into a discussion with some people, and understand the emotional part of it, and get them on the board, in short. So GROW model is a modern tool to empower, create a heightened awareness in employees. And during the sessions, the coach facilitates awareness process in the what we call client, that help them to feel empowered and take charge of their issues. So you kind of bring them on board to solve their problem. I have used a very formal method. And this method, I have used it from a career development point of view, from a competency development point of view. There have been situations where people feel that they have been in certain role, and they're not sure what they should do next. There are so many trainings and so many areas coming up. You want to do something digital marketing, or you want to do business analytics, or you want to do design thinking. What is that you want to do? And everything costs time and money. And so these are the few structured steps which I used with a couple of my colleagues, and I would like to share with you. And if you are a coach, you can use this. If you want to help somebody in terms of competency development area. So the step first is that self-reflect on the present role. So along with the GROW model, try to follow these steps. You may have different, I would say, sessions. You might require 2-3 different sessions, half an hour or 1 hour each, and distribute them into a different session. Don't try to do it in one stretch. So self-reflect on the present role. So you encourage, so if you are a coach and the person whom you are helping is a client, you can ask client to help them self-reflect through some questions. So these questions are basically, it's something that you can create yourself, but this I'm giving an example. Asking them, what do they like about what's happening today? So not everything is good. They have been in this in a particular role or situation for a long time. So what is the good aspect about that? And then what is really challenge or impediment, or what's something which is causing them anxiety or pain? And also make them think that, what makes you motivated? What is that? And I have seen people really giving a thought which sometimes I feel they might have overlooked. So you look at their current situation, and then the next step is looking into a crystal ball. So every individual has an aspiration, and you hear about your friends, your relations, and opportunities. So it's a good idea to make them think that, what is that they would, if the situation are best, they would like to do. What are the opportunities that they have researched? What is that you like about them? Is it about people handling? Is it about technologies? Is it about development? Is it about, so what is that is something that is liked about those opportunities? And also think about what difficulties that you have to face. And so you have a discussion on what's good today and what are, and again, this is not where you are making a suggestion, you are helping a person to think through the process. Then comes the roles. So what is that role that will fit into your aspiration? And this is a crucial thing, that if today somebody ask you, how many roles are there which you would like to take up? Earlier it was a project manager or an architect, and so there were some roles there, but now quality manager sometimes. So the future is changing, the environment is changing, and so what is these new roles that one thinks about it's something that people can consider. So it's more at a superficial level, it's more at a perception level, but it's good to bring about the role and the competencies in this role, and identify and prioritize competency that you would like to. So you take into, now you are looking at the roles, which competencies they require. And the next step is doing a gap analysis. I'll show you a small exercise on that. Evaluate yourself on those selected competencies, what is the current and desired level, and if necessary, attach a business value to each. So something may find some attractiveness in a given situation. So you can attach a business value to that. And then finally, based on your gap and based on your priority, make a learning plan. So look for programs, look for budget, look for how you want to train yourself and things like that. So these are the steps one can go. So I found this method useful when you are trying to help somebody else in terms of in their career planning and competency development. So my last slide is an example. This is just to illustrate what I wanted to talk about. So let's say, so I'm going into the step here, the roles, the competency gap, and these two steps I'm elaborating in data. So this is an example where a person wants to be in digital learning space. So this is a case where a training manager is feeling that, okay, the job has become very routine. Now I want to do something else. So after discussing, okay, what you would like to do, digital learning is one area. Strategic HR, not the operational, but the strategic HR, and being a coach. So these are three different roles that might be interesting. And we selected some competencies that are of interest: digital marketing, remote facilitation, agile methods, coaching, design thinking. So these competency, this is the current rating. And in each one, so each one requires a different level of competency. So each one are not different. And so these numbers actually make you think through. So if you look at the rating here, one is awareness level. You have attended a webinar and you know about it. Rating 2 is you have basic working knowledge. You have read about it. You learned through videos. Third one is working knowledge. You can actually do a job using those technologies. For example, if you're looking at analytics, whether you can use a program or a Python or something like that. So you have operational working knowledge. And this one requires some kind of a training. Level 4, that you reach a level where you can optimize yourself. You have reached that kind of a comfort level, and an expert. So where you have published paper, you have faculty, and you have a broad respect. So these are the ratings that you have. And so what I have seen is that people, they have a cloud in their head, and after doing this analysis, they are more clear about what they want to really focus on, what is important for them, what they can prioritize, and what they can focus on. So this is one example on the competency side. So I took through a couple of slides to talk about the current situation, the business agility, and the importance of competency development, and how one can plan, how one can analyze how to go about it and what is available. It's a fairly vast field. One can get lost. So you can do it for yourself, or you can help somebody else with this methodology. And you require structured methodology, especially when you want to help somebody else. Otherwise, both of you can get lost. So here I take a pause again, and there are two questions that I would like to pose before I kind of finish my webinar presentation part. So Namita?
Yeah. Yes, there it is.
So what is the probability that you will have a new role in next 3 to 6 months? I know it's a very difficult question, but it's just your gut feeling. What do you think about it?
So now we can share the results.
Okay, that's interesting. 3/4 of the people feel that way. And it's a good sign. It also shows that you are mentally prepared, which is a good thing. Okay, so let's go to the last question. So do you think organizations having adopted agility have better chance to bounce back to normal business? Yeah, will it? So if organization is following some agility practices, and they have a better chance to normal. So what's your gut feeling? Given the challenges that, I mean, the context is given the challenges that we have, or we need something more.
Now we can end the last poll, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, 100%. That shows the confidence level of the participants. So that's very good. It makes me feel very happy. Okay, so I mean, I just want you to be aware that there are some new announcements from IC Agile, and there are many tracks and many programs in that, so you can really look at it. Something I took inspiration was from enterprise coaching for agility. I have done a number of transformation in my organization, and I found this to be a very interesting. So if you're looking at raising your level, and that's where I say raise the bar. I'm giving this as an example. If you're doing a coaching at a team level or a multiple team level, a program level, and you want to go to an enterprise level, maybe these programs can really help you in your. There's some very nice ideas and nice concepts which are on the human side. On the organizational side, there are a lot of things in the Business Agility Foundation which takes care of the organization side. So together, they really mix and match very well. And there are other tracks where they are working on it, and there's a lot of work that has gone behind from experts in identifying them. And when it comes to, this is the last slide from my side. There's a certification program already on the Business Agility Foundation. It has a number of methods from an agility perspective. I invite you to look at it, the site of Eisenbridge, and I'm working on webinars. I would like to have some input and feedback on agility assessment. So both SAFE and BAI, they have some kind of a measuring and finding where exactly the maturity level exists today. Thanks to CMI, I'm a fan of assessments. So there's a very nice way of handling assessment through interviews and talking to people and assessing the maturity level. And so that's something that I'm working on. Business simulation. So there are too many ideas and thoughts. So how do we put it together and do some kind of a simulation? So the use of tools. So there are so many nice tools are there. And quite a few of them you can try free of charge. So you can visually simulate a number of businesses and see what's working and what's not working. So these are the things that I'm working for future, and any input or any thoughts will be very welcome for me to try it out. And so there is a website, Eisenbridge, there are a lot of things there. You can have a look at it. And that's where I would like to conclude my webinar. We still have a couple of minutes for Q&A, and I'll be very happy to answer them. So Namita, over to you for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much to all for attending this webinar. And thank you, Rakesh ji, for taking out time for this knowledgeable session. So I hope everyone found this topic interesting, and if anyone at all wants to learn more on this, so they can, before I end the session, so I want to share the schedule for ICP BAF batches. So just give me a second, I want to share the schedule for that. So the first session is on 13th of April. So just give me a second. So this is our schedule. So the first batch is going to start on 13th of April, and other batches are like, you can check on, for any queries regarding this, you can visit our website, and you can email on sales@eisenbridge.com, and you can contact on this number. So I will be definitely going to share the schedule with the closing mail for sure.
Just one question from Jules NG. May I know what ICP BAF means? So I showed you one slide which talked about Business Agility Foundation. So this is one of the program in IC Agile framework, Business Agility Foundation. ICP is IC Agile Certificate for Professionals. Yeah. Okay.
So can we end the session now?
So thank you. Let me say thank you to Namita for supporting me, and all of you giving your valuable Saturday time. All the best, and hope to see you somewhere again. and stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. Thank you.